Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Needs a Film Critic? I'm your host, William Yelton, and today we'll be talking about episode 8 of Squid Game. All right, let's jump right into this conversation about Squid Game episode 8, entitled Frontman. Ahead of the last round, distrust and disgust run deep among finalists, while Jong Ho makes a getaway determined to expose the game's dirty secrets. So let's start right there. We had many conspiracy theories over the course of our discussions over the past couple of weeks, and one of those theories came true. And I have to admit, I thought you were all crazy, but I need to give Stan and Devon, who's not on this call, some major props. Let's take a look and then we will discuss.
I was just gonna ask, can the cop not be the game master's brother?
And the cop kind of gets caught and like he's about to get killed, and then his brother is the game master, and he's like, then what do you do?
I hate to make 2 Star Wars references in 3 episodes of this, but it would be like, Luke, I am your brother, instead of Luke, I am your father.
경고했어. 더 이상 다가오면 나랑 가자. 형이 왜?
I am your father. Come with me. It is the only way.
I guess I was clairvoyant too in that. Stan, did you cheat? You called it. You literally called the storyline back in episode 3.
I did not cheat. My friends know that I don't watch TV, but I think it was one of my crazy ideas, like the foreshadowing. There's a lot of foreshadowing, like the episode when he kind of flipped and said, oh my God, my brother's a winner in 2015. And I mentioned, I'm like, oh, he joined production. It turns out he was on production, and like jokingly I said that, but I guess it was the main guy.
And I consciously put that second clip in there because literally they could not be more similar. It is a person, a family member holding out their hand and the other and saying, join me, and the other person saying no, and then both falling to maybe their deaths, probably not. Luke Skywalker survived. Anessa, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, so I've seen enough movie shoulder shots to know that there is no way in hell, under no circumstances, is this guy dead. I'm willing to bet all of my marbles on it, all my gambus on it. There's no way he's dead. And also, I am not on Stan's wavelength. Why is this guy the front man? This made no sense to me. I didn't think this was obvious. I think this came out of left field. I think this makes no sense. If you give me $36 million, I'm not going to go join production. That's the last thing I would do. Why is he like catering to these like wealthy investors? Why does he care about this? This makes no sense.
You sound a little annoyed.
Okay. I just think,
always sounds annoyed.
Okay. I just don't believe that the characters are consistent here. I think this entire plot makes no fucking sense. And like, I think we're playing a child's game right now. I think we are in the Squid Game playing a game of like, how is any of this making sense? Like,
all right. Who wants to take
and one more thing. Why is he dead? Like, okay. Putting on to the side, I know he's not dead, but like, that was the stupidest storyline. So we followed this guy for episodes upon episodes. He has all these things on his waterlocked cell phone now. And now that whole storyline just goes out the window. Oh, all right. Sorry.
All right. Well, we can always count on Anessa for giving a hot take. Let's hear someone that is pro this storyline. Josh, you're raising your hand.
Yeah. So I struggled with it a lot like Anessa, but there's a lot of factors that we don't have that, I kind of pieced together. Trying to make sense of it and why I think it works. So we saw 2015 and we knew that he had won, but we don't know what he won. It might not have been for money. There's a lot of factors in previous games. You know, we just don't have the information. So was his prize to live and become, you know, the producer, the director of the games? And you're right, the shoulder shot, he lived. You know, hopefully we see a season 2, or, you know, there's more coming up in episode
I highly doubt
9.
Netflix is going to renew this show.
Really? Dang. So
I'm being a little facetious, but raise your hand if you agree that the cop is not dead. All right, all but Ed. Ed, you're sitting on your own little island. Explain.
I am on this little island. I wanted to raise my hand, but I hadn't thought that far ahead. Once he fell off the cliff, and I'm not sure if there was a camera shot overhead, but I thought I saw him floating there. But it does make sense, and I won't be surprised if he is in a future series.
I don't remember seeing an overhead shot of him being in the water, Ed, but you could hear the splash on the audio. He fell off the cliff and into the water. We don't know that he's dead. So is he going to potentially return to the series as a good cop gone bad? Or is he going to be a good cop that now hunts down his brother at a different location, for example, with the cop brother looking for him?
after he had shot his brother and his brother looked at him and said, why? Didn't his brother say, you know why?
No, what
Don't
I
think
heard
so.
was why, and then he just shot him. So
I could have sworn in the American version he said, you know why, and that's when he fell back, and that's why that sticks. I might have to go back and rewatch it. Okay.
And I want to agree with Josh. I do remember now that he brings it up, there was some like, you know why, and it's just like, why would he say that to his brother?
Yeah.
Unless if he actually
Let's put this to bed. Let's put this to bed.
You know why?
So actually, the subtitles are on there as well. It sounds like he says, you know why, but he's actually saying the guy's name.
know why. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy, but I'm crazy.
I can see how you would come to that conclusion, but I'm glad we put that to bed. Kind of going back to what Anessa said, which is here you've had a storyline that you've been following now since episode 3, following this cop and trying to get information out of him. So knowing that, are people satisfied with the amount of time that we've spent with the cop and getting the bang for our buck? Are you satisfied? Anybody?
Absolutely not. This storyline, I was excited about it because I thought I do want to know what is the motivations of the staff and the inside, this, that, whatever. It was just like too clumsily put. I don't know. I didn't like it at all. It was weak.
I don't think his story is over. I think there's going to be some room in season 2. I don't know. I'm just let's bring it on.
But you can't give this show like credit for a second season when there's no way a second season was anticipated in the drafting of the current season. So this was supposed to be like the end of the storyline, like pending whatever I guess happens in the next episode. So with that in mind, like this is the definitive end, not like, oh, what happens next? I mean, yeah, of course he's going to be back in season 2 because shoulder shots don't count. But like this is the end for what the writers envisioned.
To Anessa's point, I can't remember the exact dates, but the writer of this show, I also don't know his name. He wrote this show like many, many years ago. It just never got picked up. So, I mean, if I wrote a show like 10 years ago and now flash forward 10 years, I'm thinking about that show in those 10 years. So I definitely think he has some answers on how to fill in the pieces, how to go for a second season. Because if I was sitting on a show and then it just blew up on Netflix, I'm definitely going back to the drawing board in the writing room, trying to get something else going.
Well, Stan, you called it. So obviously, instead of being a pediatrician, I think you should give that up. You should become a showrunner and you should start writing a script right now, honestly. So, all right, let's move on. Now let's transition to our main storyline with our final 3, Jihan, Kang, and Sang-woo. We had another major character death. So what were your thoughts about the demise of Saibak? Was it murder or was she always going to die?
I was very sad to see her go the way that she went. And I really wasn't expecting it to be as brutal. I thought that she would be dying in some game.
Yeah, I think that's what sucks about it, is that like we don't get to see her actually like die at the hands of one of the games. And so I mean that kind of sucks. I wish she would have at least played something. Was it murder? On paper, yes. You know, Sang-woo was the one that said, I'm going, you know, like if she was already gonna die, why did you have to be able to facilitate her?
Well, one could argue that he put her out of her misery.
Right. But I mean, unless she was saying, hey, do this and put me out of my misery, I don't know who gets to make that call. You feel me? Sang-woo,
I feel you.
Yeah, he's every goddamn time it's Sang-woo trying to play God. And I mean, that was another like one of those moments, and of course sets up Ga-yeon to be really fired up in the game that's to come. So yeah, I just wish she died perhaps a more competitive death.
I think her death was a little bit more than just a character dying, because before she died, she told Gi-han not to go kill Sang-woo. So it really spoke to Gi-han's character that that's not who he is. He's not a malicious person. Whereas then when he turns his back, Sang-woo comes and murders Kang. So I really think it speaks to his character, Sang-woo's character and Gi-han's character. And it really shows that one person is good and one person is not good.
Kiana, thank you for bringing it up. That brings us to our second scene.
아저씨든 나든 둘 중 한 명이 살아서 여기 나가면 서로 남은 가족 챙겨주기로.
그런 소리 하지 마. 저놈 제끼고 너랑 나랑 나가면 돼. 쉬.
그러지 마. 아저씨 그런 사람 아니잖아.
He was so focused on, you know, wanting to kill the other guy when she was, you know, making him make the promise. He actually, you know, never said yes. He was just so focused in that moment. And it wasn't until he got up and took steps, you know, that she said, you know, stop. And he heard that. So to me, you know, subconsciously, he didn't really want to kill his best friend.
Yeah, exactly. I think she understood who he was, and she understood that that's not something he could live with. And I think that she's kind of similar in that way, that she's willing to do certain things, but not that thing. And I think like she understands that that's who he is, and she didn't want him to have to live with that for the rest of his life.
In a way, she knew she was going to die. Who would you rather die at the hands of? Sang-woo, the guy who's already killed people and is a villain. Either that, or she plays a Squid Game with Ga-yeon, and that's even more heart-wrenching. So I think, you know, in some way she was just kind of choosing her killer too.
I saw this whole thing as cradle to grave, okay? Because Sang-woo and Gi-han already had a relationship. They went to grade school together. He spent the first half of this series bragging about how smart his friend is, right? So I think that part of the storyline that they had to do was cradle to grave. The two of them had to be in the final two. And in order to do that, Kang had to be either die or be killed. And you've already set Sang-woo up to be the villain. He's already the bad guy. So he is the logical one to kill her, to take her out of the story and give us that cradle to grave finale.
She should have died fighting. That's what I was hoping for. This scene left me
she would have won,
depressed.
though.
I would have liked to see her sacrifice herself, maybe, but just to die like,
That's
again,
a good point.
it was disappointing to me.
And the only way they can kill her was like the stupid bridge blowing up with the stupid shard of glass, like striking her through the belly. And it's like the only thing that could have gotten rid of her. And you know, that it kind of like reminds me of this, like she wasn't going to die like in a fair way.
But she didn't die from the glass. He was trying to get help for her, trying to get medical. So she did not die from the glass. She died because she was murdered. And I think that's kind of the point that they keep trying to drive home in this show, is that, you know, depriving of food makes people more aggressive, right? Giving them food with a steak knife and allowing all three of them to return with the steak knife is a knife fight waiting to happen. And so they all had kind of an equal opportunity to take each other out, but she was injured, you know, definitely from that glass, and then was murdered because someone else made that decision, that conscious decision of, she wasn't going to live anyway. I think I'll take her out and bring it down to two of us. I want the money so bad that I'm willing to eliminate my competition.
So Kimicide murder. Stan, you're a doctor. Kang lost a lot of blood. Do you think that A, she would have survived if nothing had happened? And B, do you think that any help would have been given had Ji-hun, you know, tried to alert the guards? I mean, my read was nothing was going to happen.
From a medical perspective, when you have a piece of glass stuck in someone, the first aid thing is keep it in. Because when you keep it in, it's actually it's like it's acting as like a clog. It doesn't let the blood free flow. So if you ruptured an artery and you kept it in, that artery is not going to bleed you to death. But once you take it out, then you're just going to bleed to death. So the moment she took it out, the doctor inside me was kind of like, oh God, GG, well played. Like, that's how she's going to die. She was inevitably going to die. You need an ICU with multiple units of blood, platelets, and clotting and everything for her to, and an immediate surgeon to repair, and they killed off the doctor. So, well, too bad, so sad. I think it was a very subpar move from the Squid Game writers.
Raise your hand if you think that Kang's character was kind of underserved by getting killed off in this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. So everybody, it's a unanimous decision.
I would have loved it if she won. She should have won.
All right, it's that time. Everyone has sent me their reviews anonymously, 1 to 5, and I have averaged the numbers together. This panel has rated tonight's episode as a 3.2, which actually puts this episode in last place out of all the episodes thus far this season. So obviously, this panel was not digging what this episode was putting down. All right, that concludes today's episode on episode 8 of Squid Game, the penultimate episode. So tune in next time to see what this panel thinks of episode 9, the finale. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are also on the podcast app, so type Who Needs a Film Critic to get all the episodes downloaded straight to your phone. If you wish to join a future panel talking about another movie or television show, email me at whoneedsafilmcritic@gmail.com. That's all for now. Hope you have a good night.